Imagine having millions in the bank before you even kicked a football. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, for some players, it's reality. In today's video, we'll be discussing 10 footballers who didn't become rich because of football, but were already living the high life before it. 1. Gerard Piqué. Let's kick things off with the one and only Gerard Piqué. This guy had it all before he even started. Piqué was born into a family that was already living the good life in Barcelona. His dad was a successful businessman and lawyer, while his mum was a high-ranking director at a hospital specializing in spinal injuries. Talk about being set up for life. And here's the kicker. His granddad was the vice president of FC Barcelona. Can you imagine that? It's like being born with a golden ticket to the football world. But he didn't just rely on his family connections though. Piqué had raw talent. He joined La Masia, Barcelona's prestigious academy, and quickly showed everyone he wasn't just that rich kid. But let's be real, even if football didn't work out for him, Piqué would have been just fine. He could have gone into business, law, or even politics, given his connections, but instead, he chose the pitch, and thank goodness he did. The trophies, the fame, and let's not forget marrying Shakira. This man is living the dream. Honestly, if you're looking for someone who had it made even before making it, Gerard Piqué is your guy. Number 2 is Robin van Persie. Now let's chat about Robin van Persie. The Dutch legend didn't grow up in the trenches either. His family was straight up artsy, and boy, were they thriving. His dad was a sculptor, and his mum was a jewelry designer and painter. She also worked with kids who had special needs. Sounds like a pretty chill and meaningful setup, right? Van Persie was surrounded by creativity and culture. Growing up in the Netherlands, where art is practically a national treasure, he had every opportunity to follow in his parents' footsteps. But nah, Robin van Persie had other plans. He was out there playing football from the age of 5, chasing his passion instead of a paycheck. And let's not forget, this guy wasn't struggling to make ends meet. He played football for the love of the game, not out of necessity. His upbringing was comfortable to say the least. When you watch him glide across the pitch or score those insane volleys, you can tell he's got that calm, confident vibe of someone who's always had stability. Not everyone comes from that kind of background, and it is evident. 3rd on the list is 3. Patrick Bamford. Alright, let's talk about Patrick Bamford. The guy who basically defines born with a silver spoon. This dude grew up so posh, it's almost ridiculous. His family ties are no joke. He's related to Sir Anthony Bamford, a British billionaire who runs JCB, one of the biggest construction equipment companies in the world. Oh, and Sir Anthony owns 2 Ferrari 250 GTOs. Yeah, you read that right. 2 of the rarest cars on the planet. Patrick didn't just grow up wealthy, he was private school rich. He even got offered a spot at Harvard, but guess what? He said, nah, I'm good, I'll stick with football. Who does that? You have to be insanely confident in your path to turn down Harvard. And Bamford wasn't just coasting on family money. He speaks multiple languages, plays several musical instruments, and still kills it on the pitch. Sure, he gets some stick in the football world for being a posh boy, but Bamford doesn't let that faze him. He's out there scoring goals and proving that even if you come from privilege, you've still got to grind to earn respect in the game. Next up is Mario Götze. 4. Mario Götze. Do you remember that name? Of course you do. He scored the winning goal in the 2014 World Cup final. But here's something you might not know. Götze was already living the good life before football fame. His dad, Jürgen Götze, is a respected university professor and researcher. Because of his dad's work, Mario even lived in the US for a while during his childhood. Growing up in a family that valued education and achievement, Mario had every resource at his disposal. His father's success gave him a stable, privileged upbringing. Some reporters even suggest that his family's wealth helped him get started in football. But don't get it twisted. Götze wasn't just handed his career. He worked hard to become one of Germany's brightest talents. That World Cup winning moment, it might have been the pinnacle of his career, but it wasn't a do-or-die situation for Götze financially. He was already set for life, but his love for football drove him to greatness. And let's be honest, scoring that goal made him a legend. Next is an active player. 5. Antoine Griezmann. Now let's talk about Antoine Griezmann, aka the guy who turned childhood vacations into a football fairy tale. Griezmann grew up in a wealthy family in Macon, France. His dad was a town councillor, and his family had the kind of money that let them vacation in Portugal regularly. As a kid, Antoine wasn't dreaming of escaping poverty. He was dreaming of the beautiful game while chilling on Portuguese beaches. Griezmann's upbringing gave him a solid foundation. He didn't face the hardships that many footballers do. But that didn't make his journey easy. Breaking into professional football in France was tough because of his small stature. But Antoine kept grinding, moving to Spain as a teenager to join Real Sociedad's academy. Now look at him, World Cup winner, La Liga star, and one of the most entertaining players on the planet. Griezmann's story shows that even if you're born into comfort, you can still hustle to reach the top of your game. Plus, those childhood trips to Portugal, they probably gave him the flair we all love to watch on the pitch. Number 6 is a legend of the game. 6. Andrea Pirlo. Andrea Pirlo was a midfield genius, man. But the funny thing is, after he retired, he didn't just have football to fall back on. And that's because he was born into a family of wealth and privilege. Pirlo's father, Luigi, owned a successful metal trading company called Elk Steel. The business did so well that Andrea and his brother could have easily taken over and lived a cushy life. But nah, Pirlo had other ideas. He loved football too much to trade it for boardrooms and spreadsheets. Growing up, Pirlo had all the support he needed. He didn't have to worry about money or hardships like some of his peers. Instead, he focused entirely on perfecting his craft. And boy, did it pay off. His incredible vision and passing ability made him one of the greatest playmakers of all time. The wild thing is that even after retiring, Pirlo didn't need to worry about cash. His family's business is still thriving, and he's expanded his brand into wine production. Pirlo is the definition of class, on and off the pitch. The man who could have lived in luxury without football, but chose to shine in the sport he loved. Next, 7. Gianluca Vialli. Gianluca Vialli was born in Cremona, Italy, into a family that lived in a literal castle. Yeah, you heard that right, a castle. His family wasn't just well off, they were loaded. His dad was a self-made millionaire, and the Viallis enjoyed a life most people can only dream of. But Gianluca wasn't one to rest on his family's fortune. He had a burning passion for football and worked hard to make it as a professional. He started his career at Cremonese, a local club, before becoming a legend at Sampdoria, Juventus and Chelsea. He became a footballer even though he didn't need the money. Even after retiring, Vialli remained a class act, dabbling in business, punditry and coaching. Sadly, his life took a difficult turn with a cancer diagnosis, but he fought it with the same spirit he showed on the pitch. Gianluca Vialli's story proves that even if you're born into wealth, passion and hard work still matter. Let's go back to another active player, and that brings us to 8. Will Hughes. Will Hughes is an English midfielder who plays for Palace. People know him for his silky skills, but he also comes from a very well-off background. He grew up in Surrey, one of the poshest areas in England. Hughes had everything he needed to thrive. His parents made sure he had a stable and comfortable upbringing, which allowed him to focus on his passion for football. While some players have to grind their way out of tough situations, Hughes was lucky to start life on a solid footing. That didn't make his journey to the Premier League any less impressive though. From his breakthrough at Derby County to his time at Watford and Crystal Palace, Hughes has shown he's got the talent and the determination to succeed. And what's cool about Hughes is that despite his privileged start, he stayed grounded. He doesn't flaunt his background and instead lets his football do the talking. It's proof that no matter where you start in life, what really counts is how you play the game, literally and figuratively. Next is a goalie. 9. Hugo Lloris. This legendary French goalie didn't just rise from nowhere. He was born in Nice, France, and Lloris had a pretty soft start to life. His mum was a lawyer and his dad worked in banking. Basically, the Lloris household wasn't exactly struggling to make ends meet. Hugo was a standout student and an excellent tennis player before he decided to focus on football. His family's financial stability gave him the freedom to explore his talents without worrying about the future. And boy, did he make the right choice. From his days at OGC Nice to becoming a stalwart at Tottenham Hotspur and leading France to World Cup glory, Lloris had an incredible career. What makes Lloris special is that he didn't rely on his background to define him. He's one of the hardest working players in the game, constantly pushing himself to be better. Sure, he had a head start in life, but his success between the sticks is all about talent and determination. Finally, we've got Martin Braithwaite, who might be one of the most unique players on this list. 10. Martin Braithwaite. This guy was born in Esbjerg, Denmark. His family wasn't struggling, but his plans outside football just showed how sharp this guy is. He has a real estate portfolio reportedly worth $250 million. Braithwaite is more than just a footballer, he's a businessman. Braithwaite's success in property didn't come out of nowhere though. His family had a background in entrepreneurship, which inspired him to think long-term about his finances. Of course, his football career had its ups and downs, including that time at Barcelona, but Braithwaite has always been thinking ahead. What's really cool is how he uses his wealth to give back. He's involved in community projects and wants to inspire others to think beyond just the game. Braithwaite proves that football isn't just about goals and glory. It can also be a stepping stone to something much bigger. All these 10 players show that not every footballer comes from humble beginnings. Some were already living the dream before football, but their love for the game and their hard work made them legends. And let's be real, it's always fun to see someone go from grace to grace. Hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on more videos like this.